Welcome back. Now we are going to get into the quick wins. This is the one section that we most highly recommend. We just finished up the story version of this, which just kind of gave you an idea of how big of an impact, but now we're going to get into a little bit more of the nitty gritty. So, quick wins. Each of these is a focused hour of planning that can prevent 5 or 6 figure mistake. Confirm coverage and services. FERS plus creditable time. Check your record. Verify you're under FERS, not CSRS, offset, and that all service is credited. Don't forget military buyback or temporary time. Why it matters. Errors compound. A missing year of service is about 1% of a high 3 per year, every year for life. On 100,000 high 3, that's $1,000 a year, or 20,000 over 20 years. Extra note, unused sick leave increases your pension computation, not your eligibility date. So, don't just use that sick leave time just because it's sitting there. It will add to your retirement. Map your MRA and target date, so minimum retirement age. Find your MRA based on birth. It's usually about 56 or 57. Rules you may meet. 62 and 5, 60-20, MRA 30, or MRA 10 with a reduction. Why it matters. Retiring even 1 year early under MRA plus 10 can cut your pension by 5% for each year under 62. On a $20,000 pension, that's $1,000 a year permanent cut, or $30,000 over 30 years. Protect FEHB continuation, the 5-year rule. Requirement. You must be covered by FEHB or qualifying plan for the 5 years before retirement or since first eligibility. Why it matters. Miss the rule and you use lifetime FEHB. Replacing FEHB could cost $10,000 or more a year in private coverage. Over 20 years, that's $200,000. So don't throw that out. Pro tip, canceling FEHB while employed resets the clock. Be cautious with plan changes. Choose FEGLI basic reduction option. Your options are either a 75% reduction, begins at 65 or retirement if later, drops 2% per month to 25%. A 50% reduction drops 1% per month to 50%. No reduction, full coverage for life, highest premium. Why it matters. The wrong choice can cost thousands in unnecessary premiums or leave survivors short of coverage. One retiree paid $20,000 extra over 20 years by picking no reductions without actually needing it. Make the survivor election intentionally. Here's the rule. Without a survivor annuity, your spouse cannot keep FEHB after your death. I know, grim topic, dying. But it's the one thing we all have in common, right? Here are your choices. 50% survivor, about a 10% annuity cost, or 25% survivor, about a 5% cost. The spousal consent is required for less than the full option. Why it matters. Waiving survivor protection might save $3,000 a year in pension now, but could force your spouse into private insurance later at $12,000 to $15,000 a year. Over 15 years, that's $180,000 in lost protection. So really, you just got to look at this, right? Like, obviously, there's usually age gaps between spouses. Look at that aspect. Look at the tables. Run the math. But that's a big one. All right. Evaluate military service deposit. Option buyback. Military time for a deposit typically is small compared to the benefit. Why it matters. Each year of military service can add 1% of a high 3 per year for life. On a 90,000 high 3, 1 year adds $900 a year or $18,000 over 20 years. Maximize TSP match and catch up. Okay, so baseline, contribute at least 5% for the full match. That's $5,000 a year in free money on a 100K salary. I get you're not going to potentially be starting there, but towards the end of your career or maybe mid of your career, that's a more realistic number. Missing 5 years is a $25,000 lost contribution. But could be $33,000 with growth. All right, catch up at 50 plus, add $7,500 a year at 60 to 63 if you're still working. In 2025, super catch up is $11,250. So, pro tip, don't cap out early. If you max too soon and stop contributions, you lose agency match for those pay periods. So if you're looking like, I'm just going to get it done the first half of the year, do not do that. That could be $1,000 a year. Over 20 years, that's $20,000 to $30,000 lost with compounding. Know the age 55, age 50 exception. Rule. If you separate in the year you turn 55, or 50 for public safety, TSP withdrawals avoid the 10% early withdrawal penalty. Why it matters. Missing this exception and rolling into an IRA too early could cost $10,000 or more in penalties on a modest withdrawal stream. Understand the FERS annuity supplement, what it is. It's a bridge benefit if you retire before 62 with the right service, pays roughly your age 62 Social Security. Earnings test in 2025, earning over $23,400 reduces at $1 for every $2 earned. Why it matters. If your supplement is $12,000 a year and you earn $33,400, you'd lose $5,000, work full time, and you could wipe out the entire benefit. Look, if you're looking to retire and then just get a job, just look at the math on that, right? Like, just run your numbers, make sure it makes sense. You know, potentially adding another year or two in the federal government might just make more sense. I don't think we've covered it yet, but there's a point here. We'll cover it in the first section. But once you make it to 62, you'll get an extra 10% on your lifetime annuity benefit. So instead of 1% of your high 3, you'll get 1.1. So, anyways. All right, going back to this. Number 10, update beneficiaries and prepare forms. Check. Okay, this is easier in the book, but I'm going to read it out. FERS SF-3102, FEGLI SF-2823, TSP, plus Assemble SF-3107, the retirement application SF-2809, FEHB, and SF-2818, FEGLI. Why it matters. Outdated beneficiaries can send life insurance or TSP to an ex-spouse by default. One overlooked form has cost families hundreds of thousands in unintended payouts, right? So just life happens, things need to be updated. Make sure you update this. I looked at my will recently and I was like, yeah, probably that's not how I'd want the money, so we got to update it. All right, bonus, Medicare and FEHB coordination. As an annuitant, Medicare pays first, FEHB pays second, Medicaid pays last. Part B decision. Enrolling often reduces out-of-pocket costs, especially if you use out-of-network care. Declining lowers premiums now, $185 a month in 2025, but could mean higher copays and permanent late penalties. USPS retirees in PSHB must enroll in Part B. Check your status. We're going to have a separate book for the special category federal employees. A lot of this applies to you, but you have your own kind of special rules. If you're in military's got a whole bunch of special rules, special categories, FBI, things like that. So realize some of this doesn't directly perfectly fit, but we're going to have a separate book for you guys. Cost lens. Declining Part B saves you about $2,200 a year in premiums, but one hospitalization with a 20% coinsurance could erase those savings in a single bill. Why this matters. Each of these decisions can swing your retirement security by 5 or 6 figures. Pension timing could be $60,000 to $90,000 over your life. FEHB continuation could be a $200,000 value. Social Security claiming, there could be a $300,000 spread if you retire, claim it at 62 versus 70. TSP matching slash catch-ups could be over $100,000 over your career. Spending an hour on each one is one of the highest ROI financial planning exercises you'll ever do. Okay, I've got this little chart here. I'm not going to read it. We went through all the points. This just kind of goes over it again in a nice little chart format. Good. That's the end of this one. In the next one, we're going to just look at the 2025 updates. For those of you who are super familiar with that. If you aren't, that's totally fine. You can probably skip that video. I'll see you in the next video.